wonderful mother, a loving daughter, a great sister, a perfect partner, and a caring grandma. Every moment in life is incomplete without you. We thank you for being women.
Talofa, Lava Samoa, Talofa, America Samoa. This is a really, really special program. Tonight, Sunday night, it's not usual for you to see us or myself on TV on a Sunday night, but because we have a very special reason why we're with you tonight. So certainly hope that you went to church today, that you had a good day of worship and peaceful, and that you were able to enjoy your worship day. Pango Pango, of course, is only Saturday, but the reason why we've come into your homes, thank you for having us in your homes tonight with our special program, is because on the 8th of March, which was Friday, we celebrated International Day here in Samoa. And of course, it's a celebration to enhance and also to celebrate the achievements, the standards, and all the efforts of the women in Samoa and also all over the world. So tonight is a really special time for us young ladies as well. Career paths changing, whatever you're going to decide to do, we've invited a couple of very prestigious young ladies to the program tonight. So they're going to explain to us why we're celebrating and how it was celebrated and how it even began. March 8th every year we celebrate this, but I'm going to let them talk and tell us their own story. So these women are working in Samoa now. They've come a long way from wherever their own countries, but because we need help, and they're here to help us, shape us, and also to share their experience. In their lifetime, they've now arrived in Samoa. And it's my great pleasure, the program TV3, to welcome Her Excellency High Commissioner of Australia in Samoa, Her Excellency Sarah Mariatti.
Thank you very much. Good to be back and good to see you again.
Yes, I know. This is not your first time on TV3. It's great to have you here in the studio. And also for the first time, very, very nice to have you in the studio. Welcome to the program. Our United Nations UN Resident Coordinator, Ms. Simona Marinescu. Talofa, talofa.
Talofa lava, and thank you and TV3 for giving me the privilege to join you in on this important occasion and this important discussion. Thank you.
Oh, it's really great to see both of you looking lovely. And I certainly hope that you're going to share some light, because women in Samoa, a lot of us tend to think, oh, those women that Lupe just introduced, they're so highly calibered, we can never reach that level. But we can all do it. Like we were talking off mic before, we can do it. We really can do it. So the celebration of Women's Day, I'm going to go directly to Her Excellency here to tell the people of Samoa, why is it important that we celebrate the 8th of March? And also a little bit about yourself, how you got to be Your Excellency, as we might say.
Well, thank you very much, Lupe. Yes, well, International Women's Day has been celebrated for over 100 years now, I think, and Simona can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it started in 1911, and it was very much a follow-on from the suffragette movement, and was celebrated particularly in Europe, in Switzerland, Denmark, Germany, and they had even at that time, over 100 years ago, over 1 million women marched in favour of improving the rights for women. And since that time, it's grown and grown. It's now has a theme every year, and maybe I could ask Simona, she might like to talk a bit more about the theme this year. But I think the things that you alluded to before, it's really important every year that we take stock and celebrate the achievements of women, because really we've come an awful long way since 1911. I think back even the last 50 years, my own mother-in-law, who's now nearly 92, when she got married, she had to give up her job. It was part of the public service conditions in Australia in the 60s that if you got a job, then that, you had to give it up if you got married. It was really only one breadwinner per family was allowed. Well, let's celebrate the fact that that's no longer the case.
Thank goodness for that.
But we also need to, on the other hand, flip that over and say, well, that's great that we've achieved so many different things, and now women are active in many different fields, and we've changed the stereotypes. But really, there's still a long way to go. There's still a lot of structural, cultural barriers, social barriers that prevent women, and also individual barriers that prevent women from achieving their best, and that's what we want to achieve, is to give women equal opportunity, gender parity, so that women can really achieve their full potential, because that's really important for the globe.
Oh, that's a marvelous way of putting it. Not to say that we're not looking at the men as a equal, gender, but it's just because we're celebrating women, their achievements, and how they got to be where you two are now. It's a celebration. Yeah, Samoa, ole pokalame whapitol nei awhiawhi. Le tau te mai mō mai. Ia, ole te mai tai nei le iau au tawhatonu lava. Ia oia le ole hai komisina o Australia I nei Samoa. Ia ole awhionga le ia Sarah Mariati. Ia ona au tafa le ia ile. Te mai tai oia e whaafoeina, tu whaatasiina. Pe wa aia fo inga luenga ale malo tu whaatasi. Le tau tato UNO. Afa Samoa, malo tu whaatasi. Ia la fionga ia Simona Marinescu. I was just saying in Samoan who you were and why we're both here, why we're all here. So, Simona, in your own words, if just recapping on exactly what Sarah was talking about in your own words, how you came about to be where you are and how important is this movement?
Thank you very much. So on behalf of the United Nations, I want once again to thank you for giving us the possibility to talk about an important day of the year where the symbol of gender equality and the importance of women are recognized globally. As the High Commissioner has just mentioned, indeed, in 1911, the International Women's Day gained recognition, but it was even in 1909 when 15,000 women in the United States went on strike because of poor working conditions in the garments industry. And then the Socialist Party of the United States at the time recognized 28th of February as the International Women's Day, after which in 1910 the Socialist International agreed to celebrate annually women in our society through a dedicated day. And then only in 1975, actually, the United Nations decided that 8th of March should be that day. Just to also mention that since 1945, since the establishment of the United Nations, gender equality has been well defined as a global goal in the Charter of the United Nations. So we've remained committed to this very critical objective that would allow our societies to be more cohesive and our lives to be equally shared in terms of benefits, women and men, and we still have a long way to go. So thank you very much for, again, giving us the possibility to talk about that. Just very briefly, the society I come from, the country I come from, believes that the gender equality concept was created to give men a chance. As women have been always seen very powerful. And I do believe that women are very powerful. And honestly, I believe that every woman is a success story. A woman's life is a journey of giving, of sharing, of caring, and it's most of the time what we do outside work, what defines who we are, our pure identity. And just very briefly, if I were to look back into my own story, I was raised into, I came to life into a small town in my own country, in Romania, during communism. So I grew up in the communist Romania, and in a family of teachers. We were not wealthy, but we were just very much committed to education and to learning. And that was an enabler of my whole career. So the fact that I valued education, I had a curious mind, so I wanted to learn more, I wanted to know. I thought that in many ways that's what drove my entire life path. and everything that I've managed to achieve. And at the same time, I think what is important for women and what played an important role for myself was to discover very early in life my vocation, what exactly I wanted to do,
Yes.
where exactly I should put all my dreams and all my efforts. And that was, for me, a moment of waking up to the reality that I like to help people. I like to support the people. So I'm that kind of who would always prioritize what someone else needs. So in a way, my life took me through these kind of jobs in my own country, serving in the government at a very early age. Just a particular context after the fall of communism, the younger generation was encouraged to take positions of leadership. So I served in my government when I was only 30. As a Minister of Labor and Social Affairs, and then when I was 34, I was a member of the Parliament. Again, not a common, context, but just an opportunity for me to again discover who I was, and again valuing education and knowing where your heart is are two important drivers of success. And I can see lots of women in Samoa who, just like myself, really want their children themselves to learn as much as possible, and to break the walls and to open the door for them to succeed. I think if women want to achieve something, it's very, very difficult to stop that particular process to unfold. It's just women to be aware of the power they have, of the importance they play, to raise their children, to take care of their families, to put the milk back in the fridge every night and ensure that everything is in the right place. That's a mission.
Put all your ducks in a row, so to speak.
Again, being a woman is a mission, and I thought that has been a privilege my entire life to be born with that mission.
Absolutely. Wow. You sound like a born leader, which brings me to a question that young Roy had put down, just to throw it out to you guys. So, being the way you are, you've always been driven to do what you're actually doing now. So do you think the younger generation nowadays are putting their roles in the home second to pursuing a career, like to be the kind of person that you ladies are now? Do you think that?
I do believe that we, not so young anymore, need to learn a lot from our children and younger generations. They come with a different set of priorities.
True.
They are born into a world in which they have access to any kind of information if they wish to access it. They are coming to a world in which there are no physical barriers anymore.
Exactly.
Internet allows you to talk to the entire world, to search, lessons and explore opportunities outside your physical perimeter. That comes with a lot of strength and a lot of power, but also with a different mindset. And
Exactly.
we need to accept that over 60% of the population of this planet is very young. So we live into a very young humanity and global society. And it is important for us to, again, learn how we draw on the strength of our young generations and how we enable them to achieve their dreams. So I think they do have quite clear set up of their own desires and priorities. We just need to be able to guide them, as access to information also creates a series of risks and a series of temptations that we as adults need to be able to manage. Again, young people in Samoa would benefit more if the environment could generate more employment opportunities and more business opportunities. That's a mission for the United Nations, and I'm also thankful to the Government of Australia and to High Commissioner Moriarty to actually funding this particular objective. So we have the responsibility to create a more inclusive world for our younger generations, but I would also say that we need to have the patience to understand these younger people who are so many around us.
That was a very all-around explanation of one question, which is fantastic. Thank you, Simona. Now I know when Her Excellency was on the program once before, I asked her this question, how can a woman like watching right now, a young lady, could get herself into a career path like you, like herself and yourself. But we're going to take a very short break right now, and when we do come back, we will answer that question with excellency. We will be right back.
A wonderful mother, a loving daughter, a great sister, a perfect partner, and a caring grandma. Every moment in life is incomplete without you. We thank you for being women. A wonderful mother, a loving daughter, a great sister, a perfect partner, and a caring grandma. Every moment in life is incomplete without you. We thank you for being women.
Ia, toi foi mai po kalame fia lava le anganga nei fia fil sapati fa moe o lo mawani fi ni malo longa file mu ia ma lo mawo fo isina va no to te mai mo mai ai ia fa longo fo inai fa matalanga ai mai se ole fa tawaina o tina mata mai tai ile lalo langi ia ai mai se lava o tatou tina mata mai tai inei samo e tele lava ole vai aso lena tea sa au mai matou malo fa alolongia I lunga o le morning tea o la tau fo o tama itai o I loa fo I ta alonga ia o pisinisi sa tau ata I la tatu au tu o le nei fiafi I le asa pati nei ia patalo fatui fata fai tau langa fia mafia o Samoa I le nei taimi le fiafi. But we will be going back to the ladies because March 8th was the day we celebrated, which is already gone, but today we're recapping on a lot of things that they hope to do, they hope to enhance, and hope also to encourage our women and young ladies at home, especially you that's young, staying at home already, because I know, ladies, that a lot of the times, yeah, I spoke to you about this before, unfortunately, many times, parents don't see the bigger, picture. Right now, right here, as soon as a young lady has had enough education, like they're 14 and they barely reached, college years, as soon as they say, oh no, well, that's enough education. You come home and look after mama and papa. And they will never, ever look at the bigger picture to become someone who they might have been. They could have been a high commissioner, they could have been an ambassador of Samoa in wherever, but they never got that opportunity. So this is a great way to say, you can do it. Parents, finish their education. And that's my one thing I always push. Get the kids to finish their education, whether it's a boy or girl, and in this case, women. So, Your Excellency, you told me this before, but I would love to hear the story again, how you got started to become a High Commissioner now in the islands, of all places.
Well, thank you. Yes, well, I think if you're talking about trying to demonstrate that there are different pathways to get to different places, and you mentioned sometimes women, girls and boys get derailed and have to go and do serve their families and their communities. I'd say that I'm probably a good example of how you can start off on a different path and have a very long and winding career path before you get to the place that you actually are fulfilling what you feel that you were destined to do. So I think the first thing that I would say, though, is that it's really an individual choice, and there is no one size fits all. Every woman has their own destiny that they need to fulfill, a different pathway, a different journey, and sometimes luck plays a part, sometimes fate plays a part, sometimes family commitments and other things can play a part as well. But it's up to the person. So I don't want to say that there's a right and a wrong way. I guess is the point that I'm trying to make. In my own case, I never thought that I would end up being a High Commissioner. I started out doing some odd jobs before I even went to university. It took me about 10 years actually even to finish my degree. So there you go. That's not a good example. I started off doing odd jobs around the place. I worked in a bar. I did cleaning in a hotel. I taught English for a little while, and then I went to university. I dropped out of university after 1 year, and then I became a journalist for a few years, and I travelled around the world, and I had my light bulb moment that Simona referred to. I had one of those light bulb moments myself, and that was, but unfortunately for me, it didn't really happen until I was about 27. So I already had lots of different sort of career experiences, picking avocados in Israel on a kibbutz and doing all sorts of interesting things. But the light bulb moment for me was to, yes, I really decided what I wanted to do, and that was to work in the public service to serve the government of Australia, and if that could involve travel and understanding and working with other cultures, then that was the bonus for me. So that's when I decided what I wanted to do, finally put my mind to that purpose, and then planned and mapped out what I needed to do in order to get that. So to get there. So I think the importance, it really reflected for me the importance of having those goals, and exactly the point that Simona was making before. Once you realise what you want to do, and you set yourself a goal, really important in terms of then being able to achieve what you want to do. And even then, even when I joined the public service, it wasn't necessarily straightforward. It was I spent 10 years in one government department with the Department of Defence. I then spent 10 years with AusAid on the development side. But I think I'm so grateful because both of those experiences have enriched my capabilities and my skills, and were exactly the kinds of skills and knowledge that I needed to develop in order to get this job, so that I could be here and be the High Commissioner here. So I think the lesson really is that for some people, it's a straightforward path. My husband took a very different, more direct path. I'm one of these people that needed to have a lot of learning along the way. And, it's a different journey for everybody.
All right, yes.
Just to react to two points that the High Commissioner made. Indeed, your career is a personal choice, but it is important, and that's where the United Nations comes as an important player, to ensure that governments and societies create choices for people. Because there are still parts of the world where women and girls, for instance, would not have any choice than staying at home and supporting their families. And that's our commitment. That's where the social contract comes in. That's where government, civil society, local leaders in the village should be our partners in again creating a space in which options and choices exist. The other point that High Commissioner made was the long path of defining oneself, which I think takes you to a much higher likelihood to be on the right track after you experience so many different stories. And that's where I want my message to Samoans, whether women or men, boys or girls, is that work is a right. And is noble in itself, no matter the sector in which you work. You can be very powerful, whatever your option is and where exactly you work. It's your way to give back to the society. It's your way to provide a service for the community, for your people. And it does not necessarily define who you are in isolation of other things. So work is, again, your return to the community and to your environment, to your family, and it should be noble in itself, regardless of the kind of work you do. At the same time, do not just walk away from continued learning and continuing to define other options for yourself. So again, the power of mind and the use of mind for the best benefit for you and your family should be acknowledged.
Malo. Yeah, Samoa, nato te whafonga mai, mai mō mai. O po kalame nei fiafi. Ona o le whaatawaina, po le patipatia, ia po le whamalosi fo o te mamati, o yo tina matamaita i Samoa nei. Ia, o le mea nā le mau te tala noa ai ma le High Commissioner, ia ma le coordinator po ia fo i whafoina po kalame, a ma lo tu whatasi nei Samoa. We do, I was going through my mind, it's really awesome, fantastic. This is like if you put a bar like this, right? This is the higher side of things. This is what you could achieve if you really work, even if you went through this way, that way, you end up here and set your mind to a career you wanted. If you're a career-driven woman, this is how you end up like this, being what you are. But then we also have, on the other scale of this stick, the women at home working with their hands and the family, which we had on the program yesterday. We have a program called Nofotane, which is a woman gets married and leaves her home and goes and lives in her husband's family. That's who we call Nofotane. Now, it had been something that it's just been brought up in awareness and of all this violence going on in the homes, and they were part of our society that they were kind of like snubbed and looked down and say, oh, you're just an Nofotane. You come to my family. You do what I tell you to do. So they've come out of that mentality with the help, of course, of all these entities that help fight against women, violence and all that. And they've now formed themselves a little a community, a society where they are actually enhancing the work with their own hands, earning money for their families. So it's a great achievement that these women have started to say to the other women, look, you've got the talent, you've got a God-given talent. You don't have to be in the diplomatic corps like yourselves, the commissioner, coordinator, whatever. You can actually be a winner in your own home. Am I correct? Because now I've heard you guys talking about a program that you're coordinating between the two of you. So I'd like to hear that. Is that to do with our local women?
I might just make a couple of comments on that particular issue and about women's role in the home more broadly. I think it boils down to a fundamental issue of respect.
Yes.
Women deserve respect no matter where they are active, whether it's in the home or whether it's in the workplace. And what you've described is fundamentally a lack of respect for a woman, regardless of whether or not she's from that particular village or comes from another village. And that's something that needs to be addressed, and to be education and messages about fundamental rights of women to be respected no matter where they're from. I think it boils down to the other problem that we are still experiencing is that even though women are making great strides on the career front and in government, in some parts of the business sector, although there's still very much a glass ceiling for women on boards of being directors on boards, etc. The issue is that once they get home, there's still, an unbalance, a lack of balance in terms of how the duties at home are shared around. And I know in my own case, it's with a busy husband who, when in Australia, when we've been trying to balance that, he's had to work very long hours, and trying to get my teenage boys interested and focused on doing their fair shares is a constant challenge.
Yes.
Partly why one of the good things and the benefits of me being here and them being in Australia is that they are being much more independent and responsible and are now learning how to be real adults and growing up and doing their own bit. So and to have a role model of a woman who is not doing everything for them is a good thing, especially for young men, I think.
Simone, does your kids say to you?
Well, I used to be a visit when I was very young. I used to be a visitor almost in my own house because of huge work responsibilities. So I just wanted to say that there is no magical solution to be very successful. There are some trade-offs, and everybody needs to be mindful of that. So. Very importantly, yes, we are aware of all the cultural patterns that at some point, in a very subtle way, could create limitations for women. But as the Commissioner mentioned, it's just a matter of claiming your rights and claiming the recognition and the respect for who you are as a mother, for instance. That needs to be educated. And I'm calling on women, on mothers in Samoa to tell them that as they raise their children, they need to practically cultivate in their minds this respect for human rights. It doesn't matter whether we are women or men, we all enjoy equal access to rights and freedoms, and that needs to be set into everyone's mind from a very early age. Then, of course, we together work on an important initiative in Samoa, which is Women in Leadership, the so-called WILS project that the government of Australia is funding. It is an important investment that we are very appreciative of. Thank you, High Commissioner Moriarty. That looks into cultural change. That looks into working directly with women in the village, with women in the community, to help them be better mothers when children are very, very young. Although it's natural. We all have this natural instinct of being great mothers, but there is a lot that could be also learned, given that our kids come with this wired mind of internet and Wi-Fi's. And so at the same time, we also want women to break the ceiling and aim to go higher than just an ACO or a CEO. So 60% of the CEOs in Samoa, which is a good number, are women. But there is much more that they can achieve. And honestly, there is a voice that and the message and the role that women can play that is very beneficial to men as well. So we count on a partnership in the society of Samoa for men to recognize the value that women can also bring at the very high level. More women in the parliament, more women ministers, more women on the public stage would be beneficial to the entire society. But again, no magical solutions. It's just a path of defining and redefining yourself. And again, being a professional while also attending to all your obligations into the family, into the extended family, into the family of your husband is a privilege, isn't it? We are in many ways very powerful.
Well, fantastic. I know it was going through my mind while you two are talking. I'm thinking, here they are, they're excelling in their jobs and everything. But when they go home, it's just mom cooking the dinner. You're the boss at work, but when you go home, you're just mother. You know, mom, all the kids run to, and it's an awesome role to be a woman.
And that balance matters. That's the High Commissioner invited me to talk about the theme of this year. The theme of this year is balance for better, and that particular gesture of showing that we all carry the same weight, political weight, social weight, economic weight, men and women. But it's about balance, as you mentioned. It's very important to realize that there are distinct roles that we play. So in the family, we are just the mother and the wife and the grandmother. And outside the family, we are, professionals and on that duty to achieve something for
right. Well, ladies,
ourselves.
It's been a great experience to have you two in the studio. But before we end, can I just quote a little script, from the Bible? And it's in Genesis chapter 2, 20 to 22. But Adam did not find a helper that was just right for him. So then the Lord God created a woman. It's Samoa ole pokalame nei ua whaiwiu I tau no atu ia nei tamaitai nei ia la ua fo imata whaioi I nei Samoa a wala fisosonia ia tatou tina ma tamaitai ai maise lava o tōna tamaitai la iti the youth e le I maua ni fuafuanga po le a se mea o le a se ngā luenga I te fia whaia pe e matua po ona e lava te aonga and you haven't decided what career path to take. So the program has been all about that, enhancing the role of a woman as a career woman and also as a mother at home. And after all, I mean, we're there for everything, even for Dad. Thank you, ladies, for being here.
Thank you.
Your Excellency, Sarah Moriarty, Australian High Commissioner in Samoa, and the lovely UN Resident Coordinator, Simona Marinescu. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your careers and your stories. I'm sure some young lady out there is thinking, I'm going to be just like one of those ladies. Lupelu will be interviewing me one day as if I'm still around. But Samoa, thank you so much for your time. And happy Women's Day all over the world. Every day is a Woman's Day. Hi. And that was our special program for this evening. Coming right up is Matthew Via with Sports 52, brought to you by Digicel.
A wonderful mother, a loving daughter, a great sister, a perfect partner, and a caring grandma. Every moment in life is incomplete without you. We thank you for being who